So you're playing your solo. You start with something really melodic, a bunch of quarter notes. Maybe you play your favorite band. But now you need to take it up another level. So you subdivide those. And you've got a nice long stream of eighth notes. You're coming into the finale of your solo. You want to take it up one more level, so you subdivide again. But now you've got 16th notes. And whoa, at this tempo, those are really fast. You're going to be tripping over those. But there's another option. You can divide in 3. And it's a great sound. They're called triplets. Triplets are what I often call fast enough, especially at certain tempos, because remember that when the tempo is fast, 16th notes are really fast. Triplets are in between, and often they're more rhythmically interesting. They kind of float across the measure. When I decided to do a video on triplets, I took out my handy little book here where I keep a list of all the great guitar solos that I love to teach to my students. And I looked through this list, and I was very surprised to find that I could only find 2 famous guitar solos that have long streams of triplets.
What about Steve Lukather?
Oh, yeah, Rosanna, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 famous guitar solos with long streams of triplets. Now, 2 of those are 2 of my very favorite solos to teach here. One of them's by this guy, Jimmy Page. It's the solo to Stairway to Heaven. And the other one's by this guy, David Gilmour, the solo to Comfortably Numb. Do you guys know of any other famous solos that use a long string of triplets? So to explain what triplets are, we've got to explain what quarter notes are. And to explain what quarter notes are, we've got to explain what eighth notes are. But it's very simple. Quarter notes are just the 1, 2, 3, 4. And eighth notes are subdividing those. So they're half the length. They're 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now with triplets, you get 3 beats for every one of those quarter notes. Now my girlfriend here teaches cello to little kids, and when they're teaching them triplets, she gets them to say something like strawberry, 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 because it's 3 syllables, right? Sometimes I'll get my students to do that as well, and it really does work, even though it may feel a little silly. Maybe we could do something like Jimmy Page, Jimmy Page, Jimmy Page. But it still sounds silly. Regardless, it does work. Triplets are what I often call fast enough, because at higher tempos, 16ths can be just too fast. And I know some of you are going to comment below and say, triplets are lame, they're just because you can't play at 16th notes. But remember, everything is relative to tempo. If you're playing at 80 beats per minute, triplets, or even 16th notes, they're not fast at all. Eighth notes are definitely not fast, they're downright slow. But when the tempo goes up to 120 beats per minute, 160, 180, 200 beats per minute, that's really fast. And depending on the genre, faster is not always better. When we look at a lot of classic rock songs, even pop songs through the ages, they're not that fast. And arguably, I would say that most audiences would prefer rhythmic interest in melody over pure speed. Now, our Patreon is going to have a load of great triplet exercises and licks for you, but let's just do a couple of them here. So let's say we take a metronome at about 100 beats per minute. We're going to play quarter notes, and then eighth notes, and then triplets. That helps you to practice the sound of triplets, and then what you can also do is what I call meandering around a minor pentatonic. Now, generally, we should not meander around a pentatonic shape, right? But when we're just learning a new rhythm, we can just play any notes of the pentatonic scale almost randomly and just practice switching in and out of eighth notes and triplets. It really helps. And then we could take a look at some classic licks like the ones that David Gilmour and Jimmy Page play. The one that Jimmy Page plays is at the end of the solo to Stairway to Heaven. Now, it's a repeating line, it's just 3 notes, and it's in 16th triplets, so it's very fast. But it's just 3 notes over and over, a pull-off and another note. It's something like this. And David Gilmour uses long lines of triplets in Comfortably Numb. I think he does it 3 or 4 times. It's just a long descending line of triplets on B minor pentatonic. It's something like this. Often when I teach triplets to students here, there is some confusion because they think that some songs have triplets when they actually don't. A couple examples would be Johnny B. Goode at the very beginning. There are groups of 3 notes, but they're not triplets. Just because there's groups of 3 doesn't mean there's triplets. In that case, they're actually 8th notes at the beginning of Johnny B. Goode. Think of it, it's a bit like this. But remember, where the beat is, it's really just subdividing the beat in half. Another example that causes confusion is the ending of the solo of Hotel California. Those are not triplets. They're groups of 3 notes, but they're just in 8th notes, right? It's kind of like this. And remember that everything is relative to tempo. If the tempo is not that fast, then 16th notes are not that fast. And triplets definitely aren't. And as another interesting example, David Gilmour also uses what's called quarter note triplets to make it feel like he's slowed right down. Quarter note triplets are just half of 8th note triplets. He plays something kind of like this. It has a really cool effect in that song. Those quarter note triplets take up one whole measure, and it sounds like he's just floating across the song at that moment. So let's play a game. I'm gonna play a lick, and you're gonna guess whether or not this is triplets, or actually just 8th notes in groups of 3, or something else, maybe 16th notes. So how'd you do in the game? Add up your score and let me know in the comments. So let me know what you think. Do you like the sound of triplets? Do you use it in your own playing? Or do you prefer pure speed? And don't forget, we're gonna have lots of triplets exercises on our Patreon this week. And I'm gonna put another video on the screen here for you that will help you become a better guitar player this week. My name is Blue Morris and I teach guitar lessons here in Vancouver, Canada. I'll see you next week.